course, here in Oklahoma City. So we get pretty much chance to hang out with one another at the rodeos.
Okay, next year when you come back to Oklahoma City, I would like to have you and your wife, and I understand you have, what, 2 children?
No, ma'am.
One?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I would like to have you over to my house for dinner.
Well, I appreciate that. I can't turn down a good meal.
Okay, and I can't turn down feeding a good bull rider. Okay, you're the greatest, and you now have the real title, and that is the bull. You are Clara Luper's bull rider of the century.
Clara Luper, bull rider of the century.
And tell that everywhere you go. Okay?
Okay.
I love you, darling.
All righty.
Okay, back to Calvin. Calvin? Okay, well, I'll be back with you in just a minute. In just a minute, I'll be back with you there at the Myriad Convention Center. We are working hard on it. We're going to get it together. Calvin?
Right, how you doing?
Calvin, that was a fabulous interview, and I want to thank you.
You mean you're just lucky to be able to talk to Charlie, but...
And Charlie's lucky to talk to me.
Yeah, well, Charlie's lucky to talk to you, too. But
and he's my bull rider of the century.
That's what he's saying. You mean the bull rider of the century, and I know that it's going to be a true statement. But I wanted to remind you that we're here in the downtown Sheraton Century Hotel, where this is the home hotel, I guess you could call it, of the NFR, the headquarter hotel, and it's just been a fantastic week here, and I know Oklahoma City is turning out, and I know that all of us across the city are extremely proud of the reception that everyone in the city has given the cowboys and their horses and the stock while they've been here. And it's really been a tremendous experience for Big Bud with international photographers and for me to be a part of this year's rodeo. And I just wish that more members of the black community could have come down and could have felt the festivities and could have seen some of these great athletes really doing their thing.
Calvin, you were saying that Studio 75 and international photographers are there taking pictures?
Yes, you're right. We've been here all week, and we've done a fantastic job because we knew we were working with some outstanding athletes and some outstanding stock. You know, the stock has to be chosen, too, to come to this rodeo, and those of us in the listening audience who understand realize that the stock is a very important part of the rodeo. When I say stock, I'm talking about the horses, the calves, the bulls, the steers, and all of them are those that are being ridden by the cowboys, the horses that is, they're well trained. The bulls, there's no training for that. And every time that bull riding comes on, there's a hush over the entire arena. And then when Charlie gets on, it's just good to see the response that he gets from the crowd, because he's definitely a crowd pleaser. And hopefully next year, the rodeo will be in Oklahoma City, and even more important than that, next year Charlie Sampson will be back here, and maybe we can have him come out and give a live interview.
Oh, he's going to have dinner with us.
And that dinner, but I don't know if he's going to wait a whole year, he said, on that dinner. So he may get that dinner before the year is over. But if not, definitely during the next NFL rodeo here in Oklahoma City, he's going to hold you up on that dinner invitation.
Well, he certainly cannot come this year because I'm busy not riding bulls, but fighting bulls, something else. Oh, here in Oklahoma City.
There's a lot of it down in the Myriad. I know you're going to tell your intelligent listening audience where a lot of it is existing somewhere else in Oklahoma City. But live and in living color, this is Calvin Luper down here at the Sheraton Century, having a good time, and wish that more people in Oklahoma City and Oklahoma could have been a part of this year's National Finals Rodeo. And but next year will be here, and maybe we can do it.
Will rodeo definitely be in Oklahoma City next year?
Well, no one has said definitely yet, but the feeling among the cowboys and the performers and the people that we've had an opportunity to talk with, I have a deep root feeling that Oklahoma City stands a very good chance of returning to rodeo, not because of the prize money, but because of the fact that when nobody else wanted it, Oklahoma City came in and took it in, and now it's a multi-million-dollar affair. And with the possibility of a dome stadium, it'll be even bigger. But I'm just looking forward to seeing more participation from people that we know around here, from black people, Hispanics, anybody that can get along with these wild critters in this rodeo atmosphere.
But Calvin, you will be at the movie tonight, and what time is that movie?
That movie starts promptly at 8 p.m. over at the House of Bingo, and I will be there. I'll probably be a little excited because I've just seen some good riding, good roping, and some good barrel racing. But I will be there because I want to see Brother President, the story of Martin Luther King. And I look forward to seeing you there. Hey, one other thing before I get off here. Tell Shelley and everybody else that Charlie has a wife named Merlin and a sister named Shelley.
And what is his son's name?
His son's name is L.C. Hey, Charlie, what's your son's name? L.C.? What is L.C.?
What's L.C.'s?
Lawrence Charles.
How old is L.C.?
He's about, how old is he?
Okay.
He's about 11 weeks old.
About 11 weeks old, and I know there are a lot of 11 weeks old beautiful girls in Oklahoma City that would be interested in seeing you, L.C. Okay, Calvin, thank you.
Well, I'll see you at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And I know it's going to be a fantastic showing.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
I was just talking to my reporter, Calvin Luper, who's down at the Myriad covering that part of the story. This has been a dismal week in Oklahoma City. Never before in the history of Oklahoma City, has a black woman been shot because someone has said that she was shoplifting. Never before has anything like this happened. This week in Oklahoma City, a black woman was shot. Her name was Reba Lee. Tonight I extend sympathy to the family, and I want everybody to be crystal clear on what I'm saying. I am really saying that we should not participate in shoplifting, but I am also saying that this case should be investigated from head to toe, and we are going to do it in NAACP. Ladies and gentlemen, during the past weeks we have faced a crisis. Never before in the history of this city has a community been so divided. I would like to repeat, never before in this community has a black leadership been so divided. Let's go down the line. I think it was on the Clara Luper radio show when you heard the first voice saying that the proposed plan submitted by the Board of Education was not good for this community, this city, and this nation. It was on this radio station that I told you that the plan would take us back to segregation. There were voices that was expressed publicly. C.C.L. Williams, the state president of the NAACP, cried out against the plan. The first black senator and the man that pulled the discriminatory laws off of the books of Oklahoma say that the plan was stinky. But on the other side, Dr. Muse said that the plan was great. And he has spent the last weeks going from school to school and from meeting to meeting, telling black and white people how good the plan was. He admits that the plan will resegregate the schools. They are called neighborhood schools. They will resegregate the schools from kindergarten to 4th grade. And in the 5th grade, they will have 5th grade centers. It would also close certain schools, and especially at first he said Southeast had to close and Classen had to close. Joining him, to everybody's surprise, was Leonard Benton. Benton came out and shocked this whole city. Leonard Benton, the president of the Urban League, a fighting organization for civil rights, came out for neighborhood schools, and Leonard Benton gave his reasons. And I invited anybody that was against the plan. I called Mike Barlow and said, Mike, send me anyone from the Board of Education because I want people for the plan and against the plan to come here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Freddie Williams, your state representative, came out for the plan. And it was a shock. It was an intellectual shock to me when I read her article in our newspaper. For our little children, she stated. For our little children. Then she said that the price has been too high for our black babies. Now, Freddie has to decide whether our children are catching the buses or our black babies. She said that the price was too high physically, and therefore I would like to ask Freddie Williams to give me a report on the on babies that have been hurt. Psychologically, I would like for her to give me some mental tests from the children that have been bused. And educationally, I asked her for those figures. She stated, now Freddie Williams said they can handle it better at the 5th grade. Now, when we hear people talk, we look at their records to see if they have been trained in that area. For example, if I want to go to the dentist, I go to Dr. Cumby. Certainly, I would like to not go to Dr. Atkins, who is my doctor. For dental work, I would go to my dentist. And when I want to know something about education, I would certainly go to educators. Now, here's another shocker. Shirley Darrell, the county commissioner, came out for the plan. Well, any of you that have come out for the plan, I want you to know today is decision day, and you will make your decision. I have already told you why I'm against the plan, and I shall not repeat it. But I want you to know that I will make history Tuesday night. I will become the first one of my race to debate on radio, namely KTOK, the president of the Oklahoma City Board of Education, Ms. Herms, at 8:15 on KTOK. I have invited 2 attorneys, because when I want to know something, I go to the right people. I have invited 2 attorneys to come out and be on this program. So I am expecting, I got 3 attorneys. I might have 5 before the night's over. I have some very distinguished attorneys here, and we are going to talk about the plan. In the meantime, those of you that plan to see Brother President, remember it starts tonight at exactly 8 o'clock at the House of Bingo, 3641 North Everett Street here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Sir Charles Attila would like to extend season's greetings to you wherever you are. He would also like you to visit 6225 Southeast 15th Street in Midwest City. It's now time to get measured up for your winter wardrobe. Congratulations to all of you from your Allstate agent, Marilyn Hildreth. She and her husband have just returned back to Oklahoma City from the Lincoln Hotel in Dallas, Texas, where they participated in what they call a weekend of festivities. You may play bingo every night, Monday through Saturday, at 3641 North Everett Street here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Now, being surrounded by attorneys, this is what we are going to do tonight. I would like to give you my telephone number, 424-4736, here in Oklahoma City. Now, I'm going to talk to 3 attorneys, and I'm inviting anybody from the Board of Education, anybody that wants to speak. You have that right tonight. But I have an attorney here that has always looked at plans, Attorney Curry. I'm so happy to have you here in the studio this evening, and the discussion this evening is the proposed plan for the reorganization of the Oklahoma City school system. I want to know from you, because this is decision week. The people will make a decision. What do you think about the plan?
I think it's contrary to everything the courts have ruled.
What do you mean?
Well, the court said that you had to have integration from grade 1. And now we seem to have a Board of Education who's going to decide that after grade 5 it's all right. You have a problem.
You have a problem with that, and you are an attorney. Are you experienced as an attorney? You are experienced, and you're saying that you don't think the plan is...
I don't think it's consistent with the court's ruling.
Okay, now what was the court's ruling?
The court's ruling was that we had to have, in proportion to the population and at every grade level, students mixed.
Did Dr. Muse talk to you about the plan?
I haven't heard from him.
Thank you, Attorney Curry. I have another young attorney here, Attorney Louis Barber, should be here in the studio. And certainly, I'm talking to attorneys because when I get ready to go to a dentist, I go to Dr. Cumby. When I get ready to go to a doctor, I go to Dr. Atkins. And when Dr. Atkins looks at my case, he calls in a specialist. And he sure better not call that bull rider in to look at me if I'm going to the hospital. But what I'm trying to say to those of you in Oklahoma City, what has happened in this city, Dr. Muse, the pastor of a church, and 2 housewives have written a plan for the Oklahoma City Board of Education. Attorney Barber, I'm so happy to welcome you to the Clara Luper Radio Show. I have always admired you. You're coming into this community and made a difference.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, I'm happy you're here. I know you were down in Norman last night.
Yes, down at the football game.
I know because Tulsa is in your blood. Tell me, what did you think about the game?
Well, I had a problem with it, but we finally were able to overcome the problem, and we were successful in winning the football.
Oh, well, that's great. Congratulations, and congratulations to all of those Booker T. Washington stars. Now, Attorney Barber, I respect you as an attorney. You've done a lot of legal work for me. And we come now to a legal question. You have looked, I've seen you at various meetings. I want to know, what do you think of the plan?
The question comes to mind is, why K through 4? Dr. New stated the Board of Education in the voting school on July 2nd, 1984, decided to have Bodine as a standalone school. Dr. Muse was upset with Bodine becoming a standalone school, and he was concerned about the domino effect of other fifth-year centers in Oklahoma City. And there was a study made, and then we came up with K through 4 has been segregated. And I, today, do not understand why K through 4 is segregated.
Do you think that this is a good plan for Oklahoma City?
If you look at the substance of the proposal, 200 children is all that's required to keep an elementary school open. Now, the white elementary schools are saying that we have our 200 white kids over here. We do not need K through 4 elementary schools. Therefore, you can have K through 4 in the Northeast quadrant. What that's actually saying, in essence, with the finger plan, of course, blacks have become, and the statistics show that blacks' intellectual capacity has increased. What the finger plan and the studies does not show is that since the finger plan has been in existence, the population in Oklahoma City School District has decreased from 70,000 students to 40,000 students. Now, on the one hand, they say, let's have the K through 4 segregated. On the other hand, they say, we want the black high school students. Now, it takes a considerable amount more students to keep a high school open than it does in elementary school. We can bust the 40% blacks that are in the Oklahoma City high schools, because without that 40%, white high schools would have to bus their white students to Northeast and Douglas, and maybe in one instance, Star Spencer. The only standalone high school that we have in the city is John Marshall High School. So that would, in essence, would mean the close of Grant, in essence mean the close of Capitol Hill, mean the close of Southeast. And academically speaking, with the population decreasing and the tax base being the same, the Oklahoma City School District would have more money to pour into these schools. But at the same time, the white students, the middle class students, would have to be bused. That has not been a problem in the past, because the students have been bused in the past has been the white lower income students, and predominantly the black lower income students. These are the people that have been subjected to the busing in Oklahoma City. My contention is, if we're going to segregate K through 4, then let's segregate K through 12. I don't believe in segregation. I believe that we should have integration. But if this board is going to force segregation from K through 4, and I don't understand how they can say we're going to integrate at one level and segregate at another level, integrate at another level. I think it's integration or segregation. The court ordered integration. I think we should stick with integration. But if we're going to have to segregate, this board obviously is determined to segregate, then let's go K through 12. And at that time, you would see Douglas return academically as well as sports to a football power, a basketball power. You see Northeast return to a football power,
but we cannot afford to lose the 40% blacks in the white high schools and close the white high schools. They want our blacks in the white high schools, but they don't want our babies in the elementary school. I have a problem with that. I don't believe that we should be segregated. We've come too far. I don't want to see the high school segregated. I don't want to see the elementary school segregated. But it's obvious that the board is taking a position. It's obvious that the community, white community, wants this. And the only alternative we have is to go back into court and request that the court reopen the case, that Judge Bohannon is released. Hopefully, this plan will not come about. I think that it's unfortunate that so narrow-minded people that we have cannot see the problem that is confronted with this K-4 segregation.
This is a Clara Luper radio show, and this is Decision Week, and this is no bull. When I get ready to see my optometrist, I get on the telephone and I call Dr. A.L. Dow, the best optometrist in the world. His telephone number is 235-0536 here in Oklahoma City. Now, I believe in specializing. If I wanted my eyes examined, I'm sure not going to Leo's. And incidentally, the Smith family is having a big reunion here in Oklahoma City. All the Smiths from all over the United States are coming. They are headquartered at the Lincoln Plaza in Oklahoma City. My classmate, Alberta, from Los Angeles, is also here. This portion of our program is brought to you by the Terrace Gardens Nursing Home that are accepting residents that want the best of care and attention away from home. It's a home away from home. Dr. Charles Atkins is a staff physician. The director of nursing is Ernestine Stafford. The LPNs are Loretta Burns and Shirley Green. The dietary supervisor is Margaret Jones. The coordinator of activities, Vernice Seals. The over-maintenance program is Sam Thou. Deborah Crofy is administrator in charge when Joanne Scruggs, the administrator, is away from the facilities. Terrace Gardens serves as a resource for families seeking care for their loved ones. We provide specialized care for the ill, the aged, and those that cannot take care of themselves. The administrator will be happy to arrange an in-home consultation with families considering nursing home placement of their loved ones. This is a Clara Luper radio show, and this is the Clara Luper radio show. Now, Senator Porter is at home sick, but I'm happy that I have him here on the telephone and we can talk. Senator E. Melvin Porter, how are you feeling this evening?
Well, I feel kind of bad, Mrs. Luper. I've had a relapse of the flu.
A relapse? Porter, please don't die. We have a lot of bull in Oklahoma City, and I just talked to the bull rider of the century. Now, you're at home sick. Poor Senator Porter. See, why would you get sick at a time like this?
Well, I didn't try to.
Okay, Senator Porter, in Oklahoma City, it's decision day. You have heard the proposed plan that was planned by the president of the Board of Education, another board member, and your own board member, Dr. Muse. Did you understand that plan?
Oh, I understood the plan, Mrs. Luper. I didn't agree with it.
Okay, explain to me the plan, Porter, because I don't believe you understood the plan.
Well, the plan would take us back to segregation from grades K through 4th grade. And I cannot conceive that Leonard Benton, as the Executive Secretary of the Urban League, or Dr. Muse as our school board member, could bring anything to this community that purports to take us back to the dark days of segregation, and in the same breath tell us our schools will be equal.
Say, Porter, Leonard Benton explained to you that the schools will be monitored by the NACP, the parents, the Northeast Neighborhood Assembly, the Urban League, the National Business League, the IOC, the Ministerial Alliance. Now, what else? The Alliance for Political and Racial Oppression. What else do you want?
Well, that's just a bunch of bunk when they talk about
a bunch of what?
Bunk.
You were calling it bunk here and all this bull in Oklahoma City. You say that Leonard Benton is giving out bunk?
Just a bunch of bunk, Mrs. Luper. We don't even have monitoring and affirmative action on the part of the federal government, or for that matter, state government, or city government. And to think that to buy a bill of goods
that we would return these youngsters to segregated schools and believe that the Oklahoma City School Board would monitor those schools to see whether or not they're separate but equal. It's just a bunch of bunk.
Now, you aren't the elected board member. Dr. Muse told me that I was not elected, and I said, you're right, doctor. And Dr. Muse told me that he was elected to carry out the wishes of this community.
Yes, Mrs. Luper, but at the same time, public trust belongs to the public. And when Dr. Muse tells the public that he's locked into a position that he will not change on, then he's not elected. He's not representing the people who elected him to represent them.
You're saying that Dr. Muse does not represent you, and he had this plan, a plan that closed Southeast High School and Classen High School, but when the whites complained about Southeast High School, they dropped that and changed it. But at Classen, you had a black principal, and they haven't changed that.
Well, unfortunately, I think that Dr. Muse has permitted the white people to use him to be the spokesman and the chairman of the committee that came up with the plan. And any time the Daily Oklahoman and white people draw up a plan for us, we can rest assured, even though it's headed by some person who might be black, we can rest assured it's something rotten in Denmark. And I can remember an editorial in the Daily Oklahoman saying this is a forward step, this is a good step forward, and that we ought to accept the plan. Eddie Gaylord and the Daily Oklahoman have never been for this community. And Dr. Muse should not permit himself to be manipulated by Mrs. Hermes or any of these other people on the school board who are trying to return us to neighborhood schools. Neighborhood schools mean inferior schools in the black community. That's what they mean.
Well, that's not what Dr. Muse said that they mean. He said they will all be equal.
Well, according to the statistics of the school board, black students have fared much better in the integrated system. The aptitude tests are up, their achievement level tests are up, and everything indicates that black students are doing much better in the integrated system. When they talk about monitoring, what that monitoring means is that they're going to put the worst white teachers over here, they're going to put the worst equipment over here, they're going to put fewer dollars over here, and there won't be any monitoring. Leonard Benton's not going to be there monitoring those schools every day. And the Urban League got to cut this stuff out of going out here and embracing these plans before they have any discussion with organizations like the NAACP and those people who were in the forefront of the integration movement. They ought to cut this stuff out of coming out with a blanket endorsement of these plans.
So you are criticizing the Urban League?
Well, I'm criticizing Leonard Benton, the Urban League, Dr. Muse. What disturbs me more than anything else is that Dr. Muse takes the position that he's locked in on a position and he won't change. Then perhaps he needs to step down from the school board. And let somebody else get there who will represent the interests of this community.
You saying Dr. Muse is not representing the interests of this community when he says that he wants to resegregate the schools, K through 4?
No, he's not.
Oh, we'll see. Those of you on Radio Land, this is decision day. Because tomorrow night, people will go down to the Board of Education to express their views. They will either say, I support Dr. Muse and the new plan to go back to segregation, or I do not. And I want you to call me at 424-3376. All our lines are open, and I want those of you that will support going back to segregation, we want to know you by name. So call us here. Those of you who don't support it, just call here and let us know. Senator Porter, now you are our senator, and I respect you. When I get ready for some legal advice, I'm certainly coming to you. You don't think that that is a good plan for all of us?
Mrs. Luper, the case of Brown versus Topeka held that anything that was segregated in the school system would be unequal. The mere fact that you have them separated by race causes an unequal climate to exist. And our history tells us, just look at this community. We don't have the tax money spent in this community for sewer treatment and everything else that's equal. And youngsters, polarization in this country is already setting in. Why in the world would we want to further set in polarization by separating white youngsters from black youngsters? These youngsters will be living in an entirely different world than we live in today. And the only way that they can appreciate each other and understand each other and work together is to learn together and study together and live together. work together.
Well, Dr. Muse say it'll be all right when they get to the 5th grade, and that's what Freddie Williams said.
Well, by the time they come to the 5th grade, the parents will have white youngsters so polarized against black students that they'll have to fight the Civil War all over again.
Well, nobody wants to fight.
And if white people want to run out of the Oklahoma City School District, then so be it.
Well, we'll lose all our money for it.
No, we won't. The Oklahoma City District has not changed in boundaries at all. The monies that come to generate the schools comes from an ad valorem tax base. We have 40,000 students in the Oklahoma City School District today. 12 years ago, we had 70,000. Then we ought to take the same monies.
The only way they can do this is by being in the classroom with them, learning what they learn.
Okay, then I'll let you go because I want to hear from Oklahoma City. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. This is the Clara Luper radio show, and we're talking, we are letting you talk, and the folks are coming in out here. Clara Luper, KAEZ Radio.
Well, good evening. This is Marilyn Hildred.
Yes, you've gotten back in Texas?
Yes, I sure have.
Okay.
And I listened with a great deal of interest to what was being said.
Would you speak out just a little louder for me?
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit hoarse, but I listened with a great deal of interest of the things that have been said tonight on the radio. And as I read the local newspaper and the state paper, I sit back and I wonder, I can't understand what's going on because for many years we walked the streets of Oklahoma City trying to make America a better place for democracy. I did this so that my child would not have to grow up in a segregated society. Now, if the Board of Education or the members of the Board of Education think for any time that the kids that walked the streets in the 60s who are now in the positions throughout the city whose kids are being affected because of this program that someone drummed up, they're absolutely wrong. Because no way in the world, as many times as we've gone to jail and as many miles as we've walked, if you think that I'm going to put my daughter back into a separate society after knowing that you cannot run in a race if you don't know the rules to the race, and you cannot know the rules to the race unless you're part of the action, then they're absolutely mistaken. So what I would like to appeal for, and to the people that know the problem, we cannot sit back and let other people direct the lives of our children, especially when they're going to put them in a situation where they will not be able to compete. You think we have problems now. I would rather for my daughter to stand out in the cold in the 1st grade than to be able, than 20 years from now to be standing out and can't get a job because of the educational system here in America.
Okay, well, thank you, Marilyn. So, Dr. Muse is not speaking for you.
He's not only is he not speaking for me, but he's not speaking for my 6-year-old child. And I want to say one other thing.
Okay, hurry.
I want to say that the people that are making the decisions don't even have kids in the Oklahoma City area going to school. And my daughter's not going to be affected. She's not going back to the segregated school.
Okay, thank you, Marilyn. Okay, let the people speak. Clara Luper.
Mrs. Luper?
Yes.
I was listening at your show, and I was listening at Senator Porter.
Senator Porter.
Yes.
That's my senator.
Honey, I am 100% with him.
You are 100% with Senator Porter. He's at home sick.
Well, what he's saying, honey.
Oh, you with him?
Yes, but I mean about, this man don't know what he's doing. What is it, Dr. Muse?
Yes, Dr. Muse.
He is out of his mind. Because, see, we're not going to stand for that.
Well, you better be down at Board of Education tomorrow evening at 7 because they're going to let you talk.
Oh.
And Dr. Muse says that he's speaking for you because he told me that I couldn't change nothing.
Yes, you can, too. Back when the sit-ins was, I didn't sit in, but I had a sister. She sat in to help us and our kids now. And no, ma'am, I'm like the lady just spoke before me. We're not going back to that. Dr. King said that one day the black kids and white kids would hold hands and all that kind of stuff. I want we going back to where they won't hold hands for.
Well, thank you for that, Charlie. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Clara Luper, KAEZ Radio.
Yeah, this is Cecil L.
Yes, Cecil Williams. Are you ready to go? Whose side are you on?
Well, I'm given a lot of talks. For 26 years I've been sitting in, laying in, going think I'd better be on Santa Porter's and Clara Luper side because these other individuals got to come later anyway. But what really hurt me is that all these individuals, because of the Reagan administration, all of a sudden we want to return back with Stanley from Mississippi. That's what you name these other individuals who started playing. Since Mississippi started playing, since Jesse Ham started playing of North Carolina, and then Thurman started playing. So I wouldn't want to be in the boat with those individuals, so I have to go with right. And like Marilyn said previously, that we would rather go to jail to go back to, because they'll start with schools and they end up with houses.
Well, let me tell you what happened in Oklahoma City last night, Cecil. There was two black couples that went to the Four Seasons Club, and they told them that it would take them 2 weeks to get membership cards, and whites was going in. I just had a conference with Mr. Brett Kennedy, the manager, and we're going to resolve that because people that think that if we go back in school, we're going back in everything.
Yeah, well, what would happen, Clara, and what's happening under this administration, some blacks do not want to fight to begin with. In the cases of Leonard Benton with the Urban League, he gets United appeal for him, so consequently, he's going to be. But these other individuals that name Freddie Williams and Muse and my class member Shirley Dale, I don't even understand their basic reasons. Like Marilyn said, my kids went to Sunset.
Your kids were bused from first grade on up?
Kindergarten.
From kindergarten on up?
Yes, and they made them better individuals because now they can compete in the integrated society. Like the lady said, we were at Douglas, I was in the segregated society, and I've been in the integrated one, and I would surely rather be in the integrated one than be in the segregated one because that black on black crime thing going to kill us too.
Okay, Cecil, there are so many people waiting to talk to Clara Luper until I'm going to have to say thank you so very kindly, and will you be here tomorrow night to speak on behalf of your plan?
Oh, sir.
I understand you had a meeting yesterday. Did the ministers ask Dr. Muse to do anything?
Yeah, they asked Dr. Muse to support, be against that plan, and he's supposed to be against it, but I don't know.
To ask him, I thought they wanted to ask him for a delay in the plan. That's what Reverend Hubbard did.
He wouldn't give that time because he didn't think it was any credibility that he wasn't going to stand up for the black community.
Suppose he doesn't stand up for the black community, what will happen?
Well, like Senator Porter said, we're just asking for his resignation.
Cecil, this is Clara Luper saying goodbye to you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We would like to thank our sponsors, Apollo's Funeral Home, located at 2026 North Post Road. We would like to thank the ABC Upholstering Company, located at 3723 Spring Lake Park. We would like to thank all of our sponsors for giving us the opportunity to get an opinion of the people in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We would like to thank Ross Funeral Home, Temple Funeral Home. Certainly, we would like to thank McKay Davis Funeral Home and all that's making it possible to bring this program to you today. All right, we are ready now. Clara Luper, KAEZ Radio.
Hello, Miss Luper?
Yes.
This is Millie Simmons.
Yes, Miss Simmons.
And I had 5 children to go to the Oklahoma State public school. And it has been much better for them to go to an integrated school.
So you don't want to go back to a segregation, just kindergarten through the 4th grade? The poor little kids won't have to stand on and catch buses.
No. We'd rather for them to catch the bus.
Okay.
Because, when they started integrating, there were so many racial fights between the kids, and now that they've gotten that all flattened down, why change it again?
Well, I don't know. You have to ask Dr. Muse. He's your representative.
Well, he's not speaking from me.
Well, you better get down to the board tomorrow and let the people know how you feel, okay?
Right. Okay, I'll do that.
Well, thank you so very kindly. And Clara Luper, KAEZ Radio.
This is Clary Stanley.
Yes.
I am with Senator Porter.
You're with Senator Porter?
Yes, I am. Because that is a lot of bull and a lot of bull.
You mean to tell me you're telling me that Dr. Muse is
not for me or my children.
Are you serious?
Yes, I am.
You got more nerve than anybody I ever seen in my life.
Well, I'm serious about that.
Okay, will you be out there tomorrow night to
I
speak?
will be right there.
What did you believe about Senator Porter?
Going back to segregation, we'll be further back than we ever were. I'm a living example myself. I never went to an integrated school. And I went to an all-black school. And I have a sister live here in Oklahoma City. She went to college, and when she came out of black college, she had to go to
another college, and she went down here at OU, and she has a letter stating that blacks, you listen to me very good.
Well, hurry up, because I gotta go. I got some more people on the line.
That blacks cannot advance in OU. And I am Clarice Stanley, and she still saved the letter. She went down there for business administration.
Okay, then. Well, thank you so very kindly. Wait, I'm going to switch back to Senator Melvin Porter. And I want to thank all of you that are calling me tomorrow night. We would like for you to be back. We would like for you to go down to the Board of Education. Now, don't be afraid to tell those people what you think. Those people weren't there.
Afraid of any of them.
Okay, well, you be down there tomorrow at 7 o'clock, a little before 7, and let them know how you feel. Because as it stands now, they are saying that the people are supporting Dr. Muse and his plan. I'm going to switch back to Senator Porter, okay?
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Today, I am using all of this time, and I would like to thank my sponsors, because to me, this is decision day. Senator Porter, I want to make sure that I have you here. It seems like the people are supporting you.
Well, I think what they're supporting, Mrs. Luper, is what is right. And as I said, when the Daily Oklahoman and the white power structure comes up with something that they tell us is in our best interest, we can always be aware of it. It's a pig in a barrel that we don't want to buy. And the most disturbing thing to me is the fact that black leadership like Leonard Benton with the Urban League and Dr. Muse would permit the white power structure to use them to come over here and sell us a barrel of pork that is a bunch of bunk. Freddie Williams ought to be ashamed of herself for writing in the Black Chronicle that we ought to support this. I just don't understand the position of these people. And somewhere black citizens who are in leadership are going to have to stand up for what's in the best interest of this black community and stop being sold out and smiling and grinning in front of white people in order to be accepted by them. And Freddie Williams, her election, as close as it was, ought to tell her it's time for her to stand up and be black and stop writing in the Black Chronicle newspaper that we ought to sell out and accept that school board plan.
This is a Clara Luper radio show, and today I've allowed you, the people, to express your thoughts. Let me go over what has happened. The plan that Dr. Muse told me could not be changed has been changed. Southeast High School will be maintained. That was a recommendation from the board. But Poor Classen High School, the most historical school in Oklahoma, our board said it has to be. It has to be closed. Now, I would like to tell you we need Classen High School. We could take that and turn it into one of the most beautiful schools in the United States with a lot of historical views. Now remember, at 6:30, to talk, you've got to sign in at 6 o'clock. All of you that want to talk tomorrow, you must sign in at 6 o'clock, and the meeting starts at 6:30, and they say they will let you talk as long as you want to. Now, when I first started teaching in an integrated school, there were a group of little white ninth graders called me nigger. I walked down to these young people that I knew did not understand who I was or where I was going and introduced myself formally. Today, those young people represent some of the outstanding positions in America, and they love me. I'm getting telegrams, flowers, Christmas greetings, and things from them. Those young people were victims of a segregated society. And tonight, I would appeal to you out in Radio Land. I would appeal to the white people, because the white people need integration. The black people need integration. I would appeal to you to come down and stand up to the Board of Education and say to that board, listen, board, let's call in some specialists to work on this problem. I do not believe that two housewives and a minister can work on a plan, especially when in a local newspaper, Mrs. Hill stated that we believe that we did not need any help. What a dark day when an educator does not need any help. Dr. Stewart has just called in and she stated that she's with me. Let's run the funeral and death announcements because I know our audience is waiting just for that.
Ralph Funeral Home announces the following services. Services from Mrs. Rosalie Rucker of 1115 North Central will be Tuesday at 1 p.m. at the Wildwood Christian Church. Services from Mr. Harlan Pierce of 4500 Kellerham Drive is pending with the Ralph Funeral Home. Temple Funeral Home announces the service a.m. at the Community Baptist Church. Services for Mrs. Ann Shelton of 1913 Northeast 50th is pending with the Temple Funeral Home. Services for Mr. Sam Banks of 1921 Northeast 21st Street is pending with the Temple Funeral Home. And back to Clara.
Thank you so very kindly. Now to the radio audience, we've got to get down to the Board of Education located at 900 North Klein tomorrow by 6. We've got to sign in. Sign your name, stand up. Don't be afraid to speak out. And certainly many of you have called me and concerned about my job. Don't worry about me. Things are going to be all right tomorrow. But worry about what will happen if we go back to segregation. It will be just like a baby crawling back in his mother's womb. It would be like a plane without any wings. It would be the most deplorable situation of all. Let's listen to Pollard.
Dearly treasured among life's memories is the final tribute for one deeply loved. It is the aim and the goal of the Pollard Funeral Home to anticipate every need and to fulfill every wish and desire of the bereaved family. The Pollard Funeral Home renders professional service with reverence and dignity. Ask any family that we have served about our professional service. Come by today and ask about our burial association, prepaid funeral plans, and insurance counseling. The Pollard Funeral Home, with 2 locations, 222 South 2nd and Guthrie, or you may call 282-4219, and 2626 North Post Road in Oklahoma City. The telephone number there, 769-6719. The Pollard Funeral Home, service with reverence and dignity.
Look at the clock on the wall. I know it's time for me to say goodbye to you, but I really hate to say goodbye to you because you're so sweet and so kind. I have told you that on Tuesday at 8:15 on KTOK, I will be making history and that I will become the first one of my race to debate a female president of the Oklahoma City School Board. The subject will be the proposed plan for reorganization of the Oklahoma City school system. She will be for neighborhood schools, and I will be for integrated schools. And I invite you to listen. That's KTOK at 8:15 p.m. I would also like to say to you, as I say goodbye, I hope you will come up to the House of Bingo and look at the story of Dr. Martin Luther King tonight. It starts at exactly 8 o'clock. And wherever you are, tell it wherever you go. Call Dr. Muse and tell him you don't want the plan. Call the Board of Education because Mrs. Mason told me that the people that were calling was all for the plan. Now, Mrs. Letty Ruth Hunter has made her position crystal clear. And when Letty Ruth says that something is not good, do you know what? I believe Letty Ruth Hunter. This is Clara Luper saying, I do love you. And now to the Board of Education. We cannot go back because we have come this far by faith and we cannot go back. Bye-bye.
The views expressed in the program just heard